Hello, everybody. Let's take it to the mic stand. So on today, we got about 4 or 5 stories for you today. So here we go. So let's get right into it. Okay, so let's see. Tabs. So let's see now. Here we go. Right here. Share that one. Okay. Oh, hey, anonymity. Anonymity. Hey, just got home. How's it going? It's going fine, and you made it just in time. Was just about to start. So thank you for showing up right on time, or just about. I have to admit, I was a second or two late myself due to the fact had some other stuff going on in the house here. But other than that, I'm all ready to go here. Well, just give me one sec. Gotta go off screen for a moment. Yeah. So actually, tonight I've got like about 4 or 5 stories that I'll be hitting upon. So hopefully you're ready for all that. Perfect. I'm heating up dinner. Oh, good. Well, at least I'll give you some good, be like kind of having the old TV tray dinner, the old TV dinners back in the 60s when people would come home and, watch the nightly news and then, of course, the primetime lineups. Of course, in this case, it's more niche news than anything else. So let's get going then. And one more time. So I know that last week I focused quite a bit on comics. At least tonight it looks like we'll be doing quite a bit of anime. Well, we have a couple. It looks like we got a couple of anime stories, a couple of manga stories, and a kind of a sad wrestling story tonight. So, but without no further ado, let's get going here. So the first story I'm going to talk about here is No Game No Life light novel volumes banned from Australia by government classification board. Now, of course, as you know, we've been hearing a lot over the past few months. I mean, if you remember back in February with that one senator, calling out anime and all that, just the censorship there involving like manga and animes and stuff like that. So yeah, the No Game No Life light novels um, are apparently banned. So here we go. The Australian the Australian government has banned certain volumes of the No Game No Life light novel from sale and import within their borders. This follows months of attacks um, against the title by politicians. As we remember, of course, um, Senators Sterling Griff and Connie Bonaros had recently made some tax on it. And what they mean by import, of course, is bringing it in. So in Australia, media must be submitted to the Australian Classification Board for review and classification prior to release. Now, of course, this was all, I know Hero Head covered some of the stuff involving Senator Griff, as well as, I myself touched upon it too in some of my videos, you know. But when I was Australia needs to be stopped. Give oh wait. Okay. Australia needs to be stopped. SJWs are bad the world over. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's kind of funny when I was reading this article earlier, pre reading it, I was reminded of, in fact, even some of the language, some of how they put, some of how they put these laws together sound very familiar to me because it reminded me of the Comics Code Authority. But in this case, this actually is the government getting involved in the censorship, whereas at least in the Comic Code Authority, it was the comics industry itself back in the 50s when they were doing it. So here in the states, continuing on then here. Upon review, a given piece of media will be assigned a classification rating. This is similar to those given by the BBFC, CERO, and ESRB, which advises consumers as to the content of the media and specifies which age group and entertainment may be suitable for. However, unlike its overseas counterparts, the Australian Classification Board is a government organization. As I mentioned, like, but this draws. I'm reminded of the CCA here in the states that went from like 1954 to 2011. Let's see. They use a lot of those one words, buzzword. Yep, yeah, quite a bit. And wait till you hear um wait till you hear some of what they say later here because it's gonna probably sound somewhat familiar to you. Um, governmental or it exists as a branch of the Australian government Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development, and Communications. Okay. On July 23rd, the Australian Classification Board announced that 3 volumes of the No Game, No Life light volume had received a rating of refused classification, thus preventing the volumes from being imported to or sold within the country. So not only can you not sell it, you can't even bring it into the country. Basically, I think is what they're saying there. I mean, if let's say you just happen to be coming home from a vacation in Japan or something like that, and you have it with you, chances are, if let's say once you get into port in Australia, if some government official sees it, they're going to probably confiscate it. That's what I would imagine it being. Okay, so refused classification is described as a classification category referring to films, computer games, and publications that cannot be sold, hired, advertised, or legally imported in Australia, and is also described as material which contains content that is very high in impact and falls outside generally accepted community standards. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Uh, I've never seen or read No Game, No Life, but I know a lot of people love it. Banning it over misinformation is so SJ. Well, as I get more into the article and in a minute, you're gonna probably understand their. You may not necessarily agree with their reasoning, but you'll understand their reasoning, or at least you'll know what they're thinking. I don't know if you'll even understand it, but because it does come back to a very old and tired argument. But anyways, for volumes 1 and 2, they were classified RC in accordance with the National Classification Code Publications Table 1B as publications that describe or depict in a way that is likely to cause offense to a reasonable adult, a person who is or appears to be a child under 18, whether the person is engaged in sexual activity or not. Ring a bell? Um, Let me ask you something, anonymity. Since let me ask you something here. Does that sound familiar to you? Because to me, it very much sounds like the old, "Oh, we gotta protect the children" argument. We gotta protect the children from oh my god, people living their lives. Oh my. Let's see how you respond here. Let's see. Reasonable adult, ha ha ha. All too familiar. Yeah, it's like you know what the argument is because I'm sure when you were growing up and playing video games and watching cartoons and stuff like that, same old thing from the right. Oh my God, we got to protect the kids. We can't let them. And wait. And okay, so let me continue on because you'll see how this all goes. Um, These two volumes were presumably refused classification due to respective color illustrations in each volume that depicted under 18 characters such as Shiro and Stephanie Dola in the nude. In the nude. Oh my God. Like kids cannot see other kids or other young people in the nude. Oh my God. How horrible. When some kids probably see, well, very young kids, we know that very young kids probably see each other in the nude like nightly when they're taking baths together. But oh my God, we can't allow this stuff into our society because kids are nude. I remember the parent advisory stickers on music CDs and parents trying to ban violence and all mediums not realizing they were just bad parents. Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, and I kind of grew up on that too. I grew up again, a lot of this stuff was going on in like late 80s and well into the 90s. So, nude, ha ha ha. They have a lot of anime and manga too. Yeah, no kidding. If you've ever watched any like harem anime, there's quite a bit of suggestive content. But here's the point too. First off, okay, first off, you need to understand there's a difference between, let's say, a 15 to 18-year-old and a 12 to 4, and let's say somebody's under 15. There's a significant difference there. Okay. And considering most anime protagonists are in that like 14 to 18 range, you know, I mean, it's like I've seen some stuff that without going into spoilers. I've seen some bleep. Remember Elfin? Yes. Elfin Lead. Oh my goodness. Elfin Lead. I've seen Elfin Lead before. I have a feeling some of these Australian probably even some American politicians would probably sit there and have literally have heart attacks if they saw Elfin Lead. And the thing is, though, is that most people who've seen Elfin Lead know it's not meant for kids. It's not meant for young kids. Okay, you know, maybe at the youngest 15, but you know, Elfin Lead. A lot of anime out there isn't. A lot of anime and manga is not even really meant for kids. Now, granted, there have been some that have been really edited over the like I don't like Gotcha, for example, Gotchamon, Science Ninja Team Gotchamon, which originally was produced in Japan back in 1972. The first time they brought it over to the States, they literally cut a third of the content out of it to where they actually had to add in content for the dubs. Okay. When I was originally watching it, was known as Battle of the Planets. Okay. And they actually had to add in the Seven Zark 7 segments to account for all the material they cut out to make it more kid friendly. So, but oh boy, it's like, oh my God, we have to protect the kids from this stuff. Oh my goodness. The horrors. Ha ha ha. Sounds like DBZ. Yeah, well, if you remember, it was Senator Sterling Griff. It was Australian Senator Sterling Griff who was one of the ones who was. I think. Well, actually, he was railing on. Well, no, actually, he wasn't. Actually, the guy who was railing on DBZ was actually the independent candidate for Florida's 18th seat, KW Miller. That's the guy who was actually railing on Florida, on DBZ. But anyways, let's continue on with the article here. Okay, Volume 9, while also having its refusal justified by Pub 1B, um, was also refused under Pub 1A, which states that publications that describe, depict, express, or otherwise deal with matters of sex, drug misuse, or addiction, crime, cruelty, violence, or revolting or abhorrent phenomena in such a way that they offend against standards of morality, decency, and propriety generally accepted by reasonable adults to the extent that they should not be classified. Basically, in a nutshell, if a reasonable adult finds it offensive, therefore it's not meant for distribution. That's basically what it comes down to. And that language right there sounded very familiar to me because in a lot of ways that language was similar to the type of language they used to justify the Comics Code Authority. The Comics Code Authority that they brought about back in the 50s. That the comic industry started using to censor their own comic. Very similar language there. You know, it's kind of funny. It goes back to an old saying here: those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. And we're seeing a kind of a repeat of history in another part of the world, of course. But this is the same exact language that was used for to justify the Comics Code Authority. Same exact language. Oh my God, we got to protect the kids. Protect the children. Oh my God, protect the children. Oh yeah, okay. Standards according to who? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, Anonymous. So damn true. Never forget history. Never erase history. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Who's stand? Well, according to the article, there obviously it's the reasonable adults. Excuse me a moment. Okay, let's get back to it then. It's the reasonable adults, but then again, who is really a reasonable adult here? That's again another question. Okay, so now they're in this next paragraph here. They're getting into the crust of why Volume 9 was apparently what they called refused classification. So this is it right here. In Volume 9, Sora is tasked with restarting the reproductive cycle of the youthful-looking ex machina, um, which sees him releasing their chastity hardware locks and being tactically seduced by the various ex machina as they attempt to recreate images seen in his hentai collection. Okay, so what they're basically saying there, I believe, is they're basically trying. I'm guessing whoever Sora is, if Sora is, I guess, a cyborg or robot or whatever, they're basically trying to get him to reproduce, or him or her to reproduce. And in order to kind of get them in the mood, they're trying to, like, of course, seduce them. They're basically trying to get them aroused. Now, I'm sure that most people who would probably, I'm sure that the ones who are under 18 who would probably be reading this are, again, probably more likely in the 15 to 18 range, who probably by now do understand the whole concept of the reproduction process. And give me a second here while I turn on my light. Okay, I'm back. Let's see now. Okay, so think about that. Basically, they wanted to ban Volume 9 because basically they're trying to help a character get into the mood. So, and now I guess I can kind of understand maybe some of the reason. In other words, they might be arguing, well, this is promoting teen pregnancy, which could be true, depending upon what the character looks like. But without knowing the full context of like the manga or whatever, maybe there's a reason that they need him to start reproducing. Maybe if it's one of those things where you know where basically his particular species is on the verge of extinction, and of course you're going to want them to start having more sex, to start reproducing and procreating to for the survival of the species. Oh boy. Again, without, because I haven't read the manga, I haven't read No Game No Life, I haven't seen the anime, so I myself am not I'm not really familiar with the story either. But you would think that maybe some of these government officials here would at least look a little bit deeper into the story than just catch an eye full of fan service or whatever and say porn, 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 porn. Oh boy. Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? It's funny how these people react, isn't it? Anonymity to this. They just they don't even look at the context. And again, I'll be talking about context and other things too. Some of the other stories. Um, um, this classification refusal comes after months of attacks against No Game, No Life and Japanese media in general by Australian politicians. They believe that certain anime, manga, and light novels facilitate real world child abuse. Yeah, I remember that was actually one of Senator Sterling Griff's main arguments was that now he was doing it more with like Goblin Slayer. I think Goblin Slayer was one of the big ones he was going after, and Arrow Manga Sensei as well. Yeah, that was in one instance back in, and this is the guy I'm talking about, of course. In one instance, back in February, South Australia Senator Sterling Griff described No Game No Life as being hypersexualized and features incest themes between the two main characters, and concluding that the series illustrations were in contravention of the law, plain and simple. In another, a Japanese bookstore chain, Books Kinokuniya, removed No Game, No Life and other titles in their Sydney location. This followed a complaint in July by former Chief of Staff for Senator Griff and current SA Best legislator Connie Bonaros. They claimed that despite clearly being in breach of the definition of child abuse and exploitation material under both Commonwealth and state law in Australia, I was horrified. Child pornography material is freely available in Australia. Well, first off, is it really? I would argue, though, is it? Well, I guess in the most basic sense of the word, I guess it could, because if you're if you're saying that anybody under the age of 18 is um a child, but is it really explicit? Because you're talking about all parties here are basically in the same age group there. They're both under the age of 18. So is it, you know, and yeah, I know nobody likes to think about, you know, oh, let's see. Okay, that would require most of them to actually do their job. Yeah, in terms of actually looking into the actual manga and looking at the source material and looking for the context of how it's being used. The way they want to make it sound is that all anime is just straight up, porn. I mean, yes, there's hentai, but without understanding the context, um so yeah, that's the first of the stories. That was the first of the stories there. That's kind of more of a manga story, obviously. So let's move on to the next story I had in mind here. And this, of course, coming from now that first story came from Bounding into Comics. This next story coming from Hero Hayes' site, the one I'm going to get into here, I decided to cover on. And part of the reason I got into this because I know Yellow Flash had also covered something very similar. What Yellow Flash covered was in regards to like old classic movies like Gone with the Wind, but apparently now we're seeing this with older animes too. So see what you have to say here. Yeah, hold up retail, or hold up real CP against these anime and tell me which is bleeping worse. These people disgust me. Well, yeah, it's at times people would say ignorance is bliss, but in this case, it's not bliss. Okay, it's like you know when you have like situated like Epstein's Island and stuff, or maybe they're saying that CD because it's people reading this who some people are reading this as could be people who are in their early adulthood who are also reading this. But again, you have to look at it too in terms of context. But anyways, on to this next story that comes from Hero Hayes site. Buyer beware. Re-release of Lupin the Third: The Pursuit of Harimao's Treasure to feature trigger warnings and educational essay. Now, part of the reason I decided to cover this because I know Yellow Flash covered a very similar story here in regards to Gone with the Wind, because apparently they're doing this with Gone with the Wind too, and they're Hollywood is starting to do this with older golden age movies, and now I guess we're seeing this in the anime industry too. So let's get into this. Discotech Media recently announced that they will be re-releasing the dubbed version of Lupin the Third: The Pursuit of Harimao's Treasure on Blu-ray on October 27, 2020. There is, however, a catch. The company has decided that this special is too problematic to be re-released to the masses as is, and have decided to update the special by adding trigger warnings for those who may find certain tropes to be offensive. Furthermore, they are going to educate you, the viewer, about homophobia in anime through a special essay made just for you. Oh my god. Like, most of the people who probably had never seen this, okay, most of the people who are probably going to be buying this, if they do decide to buy this Blu ray, okay, probably have already seen this and are already fully aware of the content and probably aren't getting bent out of shape. It might be newer people who might get bent out of shape over it. But Let's see. Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding, my friend. Absolutely no kidding. Okay, so here's the tweet. Here's the tweet from Discotech Media. Finally, we've got a new Lupin from the Lupin factory. Toot toot. The pursuit of Harimau's treasure. It includes a restoration of the original dub with Sunny Straight. So basically, this particular dub was done by Funimation. Basically, Sunny Straight and Chris Sabat, as well as great new high definition transfer from the original negatives. Right Stuff Anime.com, Loop on the Thirds. So this one is a oh, and here's some more. This one is a little dated and contains some outdated and unkind. Oh boy, outdated and unkind stereotypes. Oh boy. Oh man, it's like they're talking. It's like they think they're talking to children. Get get this. The language they're using here. It's like they're talking to children. They're talking to grown adults like they're children. I mean, on the one hand, it's hilarious, but on the other hand, I'm offended because I am a pretty intelligent individual. I can if I if I was to watch it, I'm pretty sure I could figure out what's all going on and take everything with the grain of salt. I mean, come on. They're like talking to people. They're talking to their customers like they're children. I would think most people, when they're reading this, would be very offended by this. I don't know if the Blu-ray sales are going to have. People may see this and they go, "I don't think I want to support this company." They're talking to me, and we've been seeing this for like last year and a half. This is another branch of the whole Vic Mignogna situation, and how some of these VAs are, think of their fan base, think of their consumer. They talk to their consumers like their consumers are children. I think that is very offensive. In some ways, I'm offensive. I'm not likely to buy it anyways, but I'm offended for the people who would be buying it. I mean, well, anonymity. Let me ask you something here. Are you a Lupin fan, and would you would depending upon how they sold it to you, would you actually buy it if you were a Lupin fan? Let me put it another way. Depending upon what particular anime you liked. If they came out and said something like this, if it was one of your like favorite anime, I don't know again if you're a Lupin fan or not. But let's say in terms of trying to sell it to you, trying to get you to buy the Blu-ray of whatever your favorite anime is, or what, would you still buy it if they talk to you like this? I know you have a response here, so let's see what. I've seen Lupin the Third, and I will never touch censored garbage. Okay, yeah, well, okay, that good point there. But let me ask you something. Okay, Well, I guess you may have already answered it, but okay, not just the fact that it's censored, but the fact that they're talking to you like this, like you're a child. Would you still consider buying it or no? I mean, I guess you may have answered it in your previous statement there by, you're saying you'd never touch censored garbage, but I would think that for most people, if you're trying to sell something to somebody and you talk to them like this, I'm sure there'd be a lot of birds flipping over it. Okay. Okay, so anyways, because of this, we've tried our best to give this special context, including a warning. Uh, oh yeah, a warning up front, as well as an essay from World of Crap. Oh, that's apropos. The people who are going to deliver this essay to you, to their lovely customers, is somebody called World of Crap. Yeah, I'd say SJWs do come from a world of crap. Um, that talks about homophobia in anime of the era. And that's it for today, but don't worry, there's always another discotheque day just around the corner. Of course, and another way for them to insert their agendas into some. Again, though, I don't know if a lot of people would be buying the blue because a lot of people are probably just would hold on to the older copies that they have that doesn't have the censored garbage or anything like that. You know, because I'm sure most of the people who again already have already seen it probably already have it and probably aren't going to buy, if there's stuff like this on there. Oh, and we have a third person. Hello, third person. We have a third person who's here, it looks like. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I've gone, let's see, I went through a story earlier about Australia censoring the No Game No Life manga, basically saying that it can't be sold or distributed in their country over nude pics of a child and you know trying to get somebody to procreate. So um let's see. Nah, I wouldn't buy it at all, which I wouldn't think you would. Um I reciprocate, however I'm treated. Yep, I'm sure. Ha 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 sounds right. Well, the third person who's in here, and I would hope that it's maybe Bat Goat. Well, I hope for anybody, Bat Goat, Gelth, or anybody else. Let me ask the third person if they want to chime in on this. Your favorite anime, cartoon, what have you, is being released on Blu-ray, and they decide that they're going to talk to you like a child and say that, well, we're going to put a trigger warning on this, and we're going to actually even have an essay for you to read about why some of the tropes or jokes or whatever of this time period are bad. They talk to you like you're a child. Would you still now anonymity? I know you've already answered the question. I'm asking the other person who's in here. They want to chime in. Um, would you still buy a product if they talked to you like that? If they talked to you like you were a child? Think about that, for a moment. I think Gelf is going to the doctor. He was in Tug Stream saying how he was waiting on a doc. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I dropped into Tug Stream as well earlier. Um, would have loved for a Tug Stream to happen or a Tug Raid to happen for my stream. Trigger warning, ha ha ha. That's like saying I'm a little baby and I need someone to hold my hand. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My point. My point being, I don't think anybody would tolerate being disrespected like that. Being talked down to like you're a child, like you're a baby, like you're incapable of understanding the context of what you're seeing or hearing. Okay, so moving on, and here's another part of it too. So moving on with this, this all stems from the producer of the Lupin third series, who now this is the American producer, the one who's in charge, but we'll get into that in a moment. Who took to Twitter to express how hard it was for him to work on this special due to both its harmful tropes as well as the fact the main villains are not. This guy seems like a trigger waiting to happen, but So this is a guy who's in charge of producing the special, right? There's a guy in charge. So and some of how he was saying this, I'm thinking this guy must have been triggered. Okay, so here this guy's named Brady Hartel. So let's look at this. As everyone who follows my Twitter knows, I love Lupin, and I produce most of the Lupin Blu-rays released in North America. Okay. Well, if you love Lupin so much, why would you be triggered by this? However, this particular special was one of the most frustrating for me to work on, and I thought about handing it off to someone else. Maybe you should have then. If it triggers you so much to work on this like this, maybe you should have handed off to somebody else. I mean, this kind of ridiculous that you would sit there and be triggered by this. First, the main villain is in this special is a homophobic Okama type cross-dressing stereotype, one who speaks with a feminine voice, wears lipstick, and doesn't like to be near women. On top of this, he is the leader of a neo-Nazi cult. Now, oh, here's another interesting tidbit about this. So this is apparently a homophobic Okama type cross-dressing stereotype um, who speaks in a feminine voice, wears lipstick, and doesn't like to be near women. So sounds like he's kind of a transvestite, which in a way though doesn't fit with Nazis in a way. Even though like in DC Comics there was a cross-dressing Nazi by the name of Doctor Poison, one of Wonder Woman's arch enemies during World War II. That's another. But okay, the thing is, the Nazis gassed the gays too. They gassed. They didn't just gas the Jews. They gassed blacks. They gassed lesbians and gays as well. So this doesn't even make much sense. Okay, you know. But this person chose to be triggered by this. Um, there are some gay panic style jokes here. He forces himself on subordinate sadism, and his name is, depending on translation, Herman von Diet or Herr Maphrodite. Give me a moment. Okay. In coming to terms with this character, we went back to the original script to try to help figure things out. The script says the Nazi leader persona is supposed to adopt a child's voice, not a feminine voice. But the intention in the voice recording could be interpreted both ways. Let's see if you guys are saying anything thus far. Looks like whoever's in here with us is just sitting back, hanging out. So, and thank you for the like, by the way, third person. Um, I love I love something, but I'm going to change and censor it. Fake fans, so easy to see. World War II and almost everything fighting Nazis. Air Maphrodite. Yes, Woody. So it was you then who joined us, Woody Mueller. Hello. So did you think about what I was saying there? How would you feel if somebody was trying to sell you something and yet they started talking to you like you were a child, like they were insulting your intelligence or something like that? Love to hear your response on that, my friend. So let's read on here. Uh, the name is obviously a thinly veiled reference to hermaphrodite. Now, just in case you don't, you guys, I'm sure you guys know what a hermaphrodite is, right? Um, though, which is enough on its own to be problematic. But then there's all the stuff on top of it. A homophobic coded gay neo-Nazi leader is not a character I ever thought I'd see in my life, to say the least. Um, on that one, I kind of have to agree. Again, considering 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 that lesbians and gays also kind of got put into concentration camps and got gassed as well, if I recall. So you didn't hear about it as much as you did with the Jews, but yeah, Nazis went after a lot of people. They went after they didn't just go after Jews, but they went after blacks. They went after lesbian, LGBT. They basically went after a lot of people. So um the Okama stories, you guys might have to help me because I don't I've never heard, I've never really heard the term Okama before. So You guys, let's see. It does put one off. So tell me about the censorship was more than just nudity, but they actually were censoring the plot. Oh, are you talking about the story I talked about earlier with well, the nudity was one part, and then the other part was going back to the first story I talked about in terms of um in Australia where they were, basically apparently the Australian officials got upset um because basically they were trying to get the character to start reproducing or procreating. Um, but again, as I was saying earlier, in context. Now, Grant, I've never read No Game No Life. I've never seen the anime, so I don't know what the context is. The context could be that the main character could be one of the last of his race, and they need them to procreate to sure do. Australian officials got upset. What's new? Yep. So, anyways, back to this one. The Okama stereotype was super prevalent in the '90s anime. Unfortunately, at this point, I decided I would keep working on it, but try to give as much context as possible. Um, to that end, we decided to first add a warning to the beginning of the Blu-ray. This is the warning. Of course, I'm not going to read it. You know what they're basically saying here. I mean, you can look at it yourself. Secondly, to help contextualize the release for fans new and old, we wrote both liner notes as well as an essay about homophobia in the '90s anime. Yeah. Again, how many people are really going to sit there and read that essay? I mean, I'm thinking the older fans probably don't really care. They're aware that they're aware of the tropes. They're aware of the context. I doubt very seriously any of the older fans are maybe newer fans, but still. In doing so, I'm hoping we've given this release enough history. Basically, to sum it up here, it's like to sum up Brady Hartell's point of view here, they felt they needed to quote unquote educate us about homophobia and why it was wrong. I think that's pretty much the content. As per usual, the producer received high praise for being very progressive and inclusive. Yeah, alter. You love the material, as Anonymity pointed out. You love the material, yet um, you need to change it. Yeah, that's loving the material, all right. For being very progressive, and I think this okay. So from Spiral Curse DeMarco, Clark Nova. Yeah, I've seen some of this guy's tweets before. This guy, another woke, another woke widget. I think this is great to have. I think this is a great way to handle problematic work like this from previous eras. Warn and contextualize. Don't, idiot. You are censoring it. You dummy. Oh my. Absolutely agree. Warn. Anyways, thank you and everyone. Thank you and everyone for adequately educating. Oh my God. So, excuse me a moment, guys. The best advice I can give you all. This is the writer of this article saying this, by the way. The best advice I can give you all is if you want to just enjoy the anime for what it is, then just stick to watching the original dub sub. With that being said, this does set a dangerous precedent moving forward for other older anime titles that many get re that may get re-released. Yeah, this is coming through Discotech Media, who's basically releasing the Funimation dub. Some of these companies, feeling the need. Part of the reason why I wanted to cover this, of course, because it's very similar to a situation that Yellow Flash had covered as well. I don't know if you guys have seen Yellow Flash's video on Gone with the Wind. Some of the other older animes that they're actually, you know, I mean, I know Yellow Flash actually more recently did one about Kindergarten Cop as well. So, but how production companies are censoring older movies, older animes, you know, and I also stopped in on. I also watched a couple of Raging Gold videos on this too, and I know he's talking about. Well, this is why people will pirate anime too, because they don't want this censored garbage. And people are saying, "Well, don't censor it." Some of those people are saying, "Well, don't censor it," but you are censoring it. You're not just simply. Um, okay, so let's see. Australian. What's new? Okay, thanks. I can look back at that. Thanks for the short answer. Yeah, I mean, you can always look back on the stream here, Woody Mueller, to catch that story as well. Um, TLDR. Excuse me a moment. All right, guys. I'm gonna step away real quick just because something's like caught in my throat here. I'll be right back. So just sit tight. guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about the long delay there after I went to clear my throat. My family was letting me know that there was a plate ready for me, so sorry about that. Well, anyways, let's see what you got TLD on. Excuse me. Yeah, let's see. Um, Another fake activist wannabe. Um, it's their medium to buy from Japan, but with English subs. Or is their medium to buy from Japan, um, with English subs. hmm Excuse me. No worries. Sorry, I gotta step out one more time. Sorry, guys. That's that, guys. Ah, I had 4 or 5 stories to get through, and I've only got to 2 of them. So one of them will probably be a bit quick, but still. I hope, despite the long absence there, you guys have still been enjoying the content and stuff. Anyway, so let me now move on to a couple other stories here. Yeah, the two. Okay, one more time. Okay, so doing some more, anime, cartoon news. This one should be a little bit quicker. We got another tsunami update. Like somebody left us. I guess Woody may have left us. Um, or is of course. Um, okay, so here we go. We got another story here to go through. A bit of another tsunami update. This one's from comicbook.com. There's a couple of stories here. I'll be covering. Cover this one first. It was the earlier one from August 4th, which was last Tuesday. Toonami is one of the go-to places for TV lovers to check out adult animation and anime. The late night program has a history of pushing the limits when it comes to content, and Adult Swim has always backed that mission. Now it seems Toonami is reaching out to DC fandom for the for its next collaboration, and basically they announced last Tuesday that for the next couple of weeks they would be they think he did. Yeah. Oh, somebody's back. Let's see. I just saw it. I wish they still played anime every night. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they're talking about how with the COVID and stuff going on right now, um, they can't. I mean, they have a whole bunch of older stuff that they could be showing on a nightly basis. Even as reruns. They could just rotate it around. You don't have to like show the same anime like 2 or 3 times in a row. You can show one, then move on to another one. And these companies, um, they have a lot of this stuff. They have these licenses for distribution. I don't think it'd take them that much to. But anyways, yeah. So they announced last Tuesday that over the next couple of weeks here for August the 15th and 22nd, that rather than showing anime as usual, Toonami will use these nights to air 4 different Batman movies set in the DC animated universe. So on this coming Saturday, August the 15th, they're going to be showing Batman Year One at midnight, and then at 1:30 they're going to be showing Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Part One. And then on August the 22nd, they're going to show Batman Gotham Knight and then part 2 of the Batman Dark Knight Returns. So over on Twitter, Jason DeMarco commented on the schedule change. The co-creator of Toonami praised the decision, but admitted that it was a raw deal for JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Yeah, because he basically JoJo's just came back and Fire Force is coming back too, and yet now they're going to get pushed aside for a couple of weeks so they can show these movies. So it's kind of a bad scheduling, bad timing kind of situation, in my opinion. It's like you know, again, they can see bring back the old school schedule for a bit. Yeah, that would help. I mean, it's kind of funny. Even before they had moved Toonami to Saturday nights, right when they were having anime on Adult Swim. One of the first animes that I saw on that night was Dot Hack Sign. That got my attention pretty quickly. Um, so that kind of got my attention, and then I got it, and then that's how I got into it was watching Dot Hack Sign, and then of course in the afternoons I'd see like all the trailers for Yu Yu Hakusho, right? Yu Yu Hakusho would sit there and have trailers on it. You know, have that one constant trailer, and that got me hooked onto that show as well. So, but yeah, so they're gonna take a couple weeks off here to show the movies. And I'm a DC fan. I'm a big DC fan myself, so I wouldn't mind watching those. You know, plus I think it'll give them time to get ahead on some of the schedule too. Um, okay, and here's the other story, and I know SG Sammy was covering this story. Um, the manga act age gets canceled by Shueisha following writer's arrest. So, okay, so I'll read off the article here, but in brief, the writer for Act Age was apparently arrested for inappropriately touch, some kind of like misconduct with what they declare mine was somebody between the ages of 12 and 15 over there. But let's see what you have to say anonymity. If they didn't have it only on Saturdays, well, there's a lot of things. What if what if they weren't so stingy about bringing programs on? What if they weren't so stingy about showing like older anime, and not just older anime that has been shown on Toonami, but also there's a lot of good animes out there that I think would work as part of Toonami that were never part of Toonami. Like there's even stuff from like the ADV's Sentai catalog, like Peacemaker Kurogane. See, there's sure no to. I'm sure no Toki would do very well on Toonami, but no, they don't want. They don't want to. Even though they've already been dubbed, they're ready to go. Basically, they dubbed them for distribution purposes. Probably wouldn't take much for them to get the broadcast rights for a lot of those, but no, we don't want to do that. Dot Hack was a fun. Yeah, I love the Dot Hack series. I mean, it's quite a great mega series. It's one of the it's one of those animes you can really lose yourself in. And give it Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my it's like my all time favorite as well. I actually have the DVD box set for that. Kitty, it was some or was it something? It I don't think it was exactly Kitty. I'll read the article, but let me uh like maybe that Chevalier was one. Oh, you're talking about Chevalier Dayon? Yeah, I've seen the anime for that. That's a pretty interesting one. But anyways, let's read the article here so you have a better idea. Today, reports confirmed the fate of Act Age after its writer Tatsuya Matsu, Matsuki was arrested for acting indecently towards a minor. Shueisha has chosen to officially cancel the hit series in light of the arrest. The final chapter of Act Age will be shared in issue 36-37 of Weekly Shonen Jump. Now, as I said, SG Sammy had done a couple of videos on this. He first did the initial video where, and then he did two separate videos. One covered the initial allegations, and then the second one, which came out today, covered his arrest. And it's a shame because a lot of people are feel a bit upset for for not the well this guy's the author, he's the writer of it, but the artist of it, because she's an up and coming artist um, who now is out of work because of this guy's behavior. So that's kind of a crappy thing going on there. Um, so the actual um, acting indecently towards a minor, which could mean almost anything. The update comes days after reports from Tokyo revealed a disturbing detail about Act Age writer Matsuki was taken into custody by police after allegedly touching a middle school age girl inappropriately. Further investigation informed police Matsuki may have acted indecently towards another middle school age girl another middle school girl earlier in the day, and the writer did not deny the allegations when confronted by police. As NHK reports, Matsuki was riding his bike behind each of the girls um, before approaching them. The suspect fled after each encounter, and Matsuki told police there was generally nothing incorrect. With the accusations laid against him, the case is still ongoing, but the incident itself is enough for Shueisha to warrant act agents cancel it. Yeah, because in Japan, I know that Sammy was mentioning this too when he reported on it. When it comes to this kind of situation, when it comes to like interactions with like middle school age girls, apparently they are really really strong. Like they are like when it comes to like how you interact with like police and with authority figures, they're the total opposite of here in the states. Like you don't see like the riots you see in the big cities here. Nobody there would even remotely think about anything like that. But of course, my question would be, why was he? I mean, what prompted this? What was he? Okay, so they said that when he was confronted with it, he essentially admitted to it. But what you know, the $1 million question here is why? Why did he do this? You know, especially considering he's a, from what I understand, he was a pretty well known. His manga was pretty popular. Why would you screw that up? You know, that right there is the $1 million question. Anyways, I'm gonna try to get caught up on because you guys have been going back and forth. Okay, so we'll start here. So let's see. Woody Mueller responds, not seeing any video at the moment. What are you okay? Well, okay. Hmm. Try reloading, Woody, okay? Real life Japanese schoolgirls. Better, thanks. No prob. He was getting he was getting ideas from tentacle scenes. Oh boy. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. Just yeah, I know you're just kidding. Funny joke. They say people get a big head when they have a sense of power. I believe it. Well, there is the old saying too that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, but again, this is what I go back to on this. Why? Why? And well, exactly how did he touch him in the program? That'd be another interesting question to have answered. Just exactly how did he actually touch like any of their private parts, or was it just like a hand on the shoulder? I mean, again, we don't fully understand the context either of what was actually going on. Apparently, whatever it was, he acknowledged to doing it. So, but again, the underlying one of the questions I'd be wondering is why? Why would he be doing this? But Shueisha had released a statement regarding the abrupt end of Act Age Online. The publisher shared the note on Manga Plus, its online library for all of Shonen Jump. It was there. Shueisha apologized to fans for disappointing them, but the magazine staff said it had to take accountability given the crimes at hand. And you do have to kind of applaud them on that. I mean, this guy apparently legitimately did something wrong. Now they're taking some accountability for that because he was one of their employees. Um, it is extremely unfortunate to have to end a series that has received so much support from so many readers in this way. Yeah, I know Sammy was also saying earlier that he wanted to get into it. Now he may not, now coming to an abrupt end. However, this decision was made because of the nature of the incident, because Weekly Shonen Jump recognizes the weight of its social responsibility, the publisher shared. We offer our deepest regrets and apologize to our readers. At this time, the final chapters of Act H are expecting to be published in print only. Manga Plus will not host its final chapter, and no further updates on have given on oh no further updates have been given on Matsuki's case since it was first reported upon. Yeah, I mean, again, we what do you make of this decision of that? Well, that's an interesting question. What do you think? Let me know. Okay. Well, obviously you'll let me know in my comments, but not on theirs. But yeah, what well, I see you guys already have some comments here. Oh, we have a fourth person here. Hello, fourth person. And who has joined us now? Who has joined us now, I wonder. Okay, over here it says two. Over here it says four. Okay. StreamYard is telling me we have four people in here, and okay, so maybe I'll find out what's going on by reading the comments here. I'll never understand why people do what they do. One of the one of the word was something like insulted, sounded like they might have told them he didn't like their hairstyle. Okay, I don't get any of that. Let's see now. If it's good, I'll check it out, but I don't think it's my kind of story. Well, even I don't know about Act H, so I can tell you. I mean, it's to each their own. Um, yeah, looks like it's just two of. Guess maybe it's just you and me. Anonymity. I guess Woody may have stepped out for some reason. I guess like he like insulted. So yeah, I mean, my thing on it is, I mean, again, based on what they described here, he was just he kind of was he maybe legitimately interested in him? But if he touched him, exactly, again, exactly how did he touch him though? You know, um, yeah, Matsugi was riding his bike behind each of the girls before approaching them. The suspect fled after each encounter, and Matsu. So maybe if they're saying he fled after doing it, maybe on some level he knew what he was doing was wrong. So um, again, it'd be interesting to see what exactly how exactly he touched him, what was what was the context? I think they're in and out. Yeah, it seems like it. Maybe their connection or whatever. Uh, yeah, that's the thing right there. But that's pretty much. Well, the last story I'm going to get to here. We'll move on from this story. But the last story I'm going to get to right now is another little quickie here. Won't even. Um, as a wrestling fan, it is it is with a heavy heart that I must report the passing of James Harris, known to most professional wrestling fans as Kamala. Kamala passed away today from a cardiac arrest after contracting COVID. Now, before everybody starts panicking about COVID, there are a few little details I need to let you guys know about Kamala's case here. In the last few years, Kamala had, first off, he's 70 years old. He passed away, he was 70 years old. Okay. In the last few years here, he'd been having some major health issues, including high blood pressure and diabetes. In fact, the diabetes had got so bad that both legs had to be amputated. Both of his legs had to be amputated. Okay. The sad part about this is Kamala was a 6'7", 380 to 400-pound individual. He made his claim to fame being one of those monster heels that they would put up against like the monster faces like Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, and of course Kamala had the very famous casket match against Undertaker in which he was like scared of the casket. Okay, so um, oh, all right, oh, that the one, oh yeah, they're in it. Okay, but anyways, yeah, he passed away yesterday. Um, his wife had apparently reported that he may have caught the COVID from his weekly visits to the dialysis center. That may have been so. Before everybody starts saying wear a mask, or what have you, um, understand that Kamala was one of those high risk individuals. Okay. And even though COVID may have been a contributing factor, it wasn't COVID that actually killed him. He died of a cardiac arrest, which could have happened any which way you think about it, because, as I said, he had some major medical issues even before getting COVID. But, but on, according to the report, he seemed to be doing fine initially, because he apparently they diagnosed him with COVID on the 5th, on Wednesday the 5th, and then he died yesterday apparently. So yeah, but this is a man who is larger than life, and it just goes to show you that you know even big even big people can succumb to it. I mean, you know, um, but at least he didn't suffer because, from what I understand, he was initially he was initially doing well, and then he just had the cardiac arrest. So he didn't suffer at least, and that's one of the points that's kind of one of the points I had made way back when all this stuff with COVID was going on. Not that I want to get too much into it, but like, would it really be better to if when people like in this case Kamala, and he is not related to Kamala Harris, by the way. He's just in case you were thinking that. Okay, this guy's a totally different. His real name is James Harris. His stage name was Kamala. Okay, now Kamala Harris, her name's their names are spelled the same, but they're pronounced differently. Kamala Harris is the junior senator from my lovely state of California. So, anyways, I had to pass that news along as well for pro wrestling fans, just in case. We got somebody else back. Just in case you just missed it, I also announced that professional wrestler Kamala had passed away yesterday from a cardiac arrest after, man, we lost him again. So, anyways, let's see. We're an hour and 39 minutes, so we're doing pretty well. Thank you again, Anonymity, for coming in on time. You got right into the stories and stuff like that. So now let's get to finishing this off. One last bit of stuff, which is this day in Nietzsche history. So today being August the 10th, 2020, let's see what's happened on this date in Nietzsche history. Okay, that's 90, right? Okay. So without no. Yeah, let me see. Oh, right there. I just got home from work. Just winding down. Okay. Ah. Okay, so let's take a look here at. So first off, I would like to wish a happy 40th birthday to Stu Bennett, known better to most WWE fans as Wade Barrett, Bad News Barrett, or King Barrett. Happy 40th birthday to Wayne Barrett today. Um, indeed. So happy birthday to Wade Barrett, aka Bad News Barrett, aka King Barrett. Real name Stu Bennett. I believe he's back over in England now, running his own wrestling company after having left the WWF. I think sometime in the last couple years or so. But he was in the WWE. WWE now. But anyways, I figured. So happy birthday to Bad News Barrett. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to the next. So on this date in 1990, um, on this date in 1990, First Comics would release the 10th and final issue of Mike Grell's Sable, as well as the 20th issue of Nexus Legends. So kind of a double whammy for you. The First Comics would release the 10th and final issue of Mike Grell's Sable, and the 20th issue of Nexus Legends. So those are happy birthday. So those are what happened on this date in. Well, let's see. We have also a couple more little tidbits of news. Move on to the next one. On this date in 2001, on Cartoon Network was the debut of Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack debuted on this date in 2001. So, so there you go. There's another interesting little tidbit there on this date in history. That was 19 years ago. So you had 40 years. Wade Barrett turning 40 years old. 30 years ago, those two issues released by First Comics, and then now this from about 19 years ago. And finally, the last bit of nice Samurai Jack. Yeah, I found that earlier. I know, granted, I myself never really got into it, but there are people out there, a lot of people out there who probably did. I do know that the late Mako um, did the voice of the bad guy in there. He's a pretty famous Japanese actor. So, and on this date 5 years ago in 2015, the the Japanese seinen manga series Furo Girl, translated as Bath Girl, um, began its serialization in Big Comic Spirits. The series that depicts the lifestyle of a 25-year-old office worker and 25-year-old office worker and bath lover Sayoko Oyumino. So, so yeah, so that's what happened on this date in each history, and with that, that's pretty much. I went through like 5 news stories tonight. That was a pretty, a couple of them were a bit short. I thank you for getting in on time, anonymity. It's good to have somebody to share this stuff with for the full stream. So so yeah, so as you know, I've got Bath Girl. Yeah, that would be now if they did turn that into an anime and it was dubbed. First, I would love to see it get turned into an anime, and I'd love to see Sentai Filmworks, aka Seraphim Digital Sound, dub it. No Funimation. Don't let Funimation. That sounds like a good. That sounds like a series that'd be very interesting to watch. I'd hope Sentai would get that. Um, and with that, don't forget anonymity. Aside from these live streams, of course, I also am still doing my VA profiles. If you want to check those out, check out the works of some of the people. What I have decided though is this Friday will be the last premiere episode of my VA profiles. I'm now just going to do those as regular features. I just completed the cycle, but I'll do those as regular features now as opposed to premieres because so I can still give myself enough time to get prepared for the streams on Friday. So just figure I give you a heads up on that. So thank you, thanks everybody for coming in. Anonymity. I know Woody Mueller was here. I thank you guys for the likes and the shares. Hopefully, we can start getting more people in here and all that. Because I love sharing this information with you guys. Love having these conversations. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you again, Anonymity. See, not sure when I'll be off on the weekends, but I'll try. Well, the live streams are still going during the week, you know. And as for the weekends, I'm probably not gonna. Obviously, I'll I'll still probably be recording the VA profiles on Sunday, but they'll just be like regular videos after this week. So thank you for the stream. Have a good one. And I hope to see you tomorrow night, Anonymity. And you can try to help get the word out too. Hopefully, we can get some more people in here, get more of a conversation going. So until tomorrow night, guys, night.